Hello, Bloomington. I'm Mayor Tim Bussey, and this is the Council Minute for the week of June 1st. As you know, this week's City Council meeting took place against the backdrop of the killing of George Floyd. The City Council adopted an emergency declaration and extended the curfew that had been in place since Friday night to protect the residents and businesses of the community from the rioting that has riven Minneapolis and St. Paul and has spread across the country and around the world. And while these actions help protect us from pain and destruction to property over the past few days, nothing can protect us, especially the Black, Indigenous, and people of color in Bloomington, from the pain and damage of a system that is clearly and continuously failing Black and brown people. I spoke to that last week and again at the beginning of the meeting on Monday night, but words are just that, words. I understand that. I understand that meeting the emotional and moral expectations of Black and brown people is going to take more than words. I know that our commitment to racial equity and inclusion is only as good as the actions that we take to demonstrate it. More than ever, the work that we have started to build relationships within our community needs to accelerate. We have a fantastic team of outreach and engagement specialists doing that work in the community, and yet more needs to be done. We have a great team in our police department doing work to build relationships with communities that have understandably not been able to trust the police. That team is doing good work, and yet more needs to be done. Last year, the City of Bloomington hired a racial equity coordinator for the first time to help build relationships within the organization and throughout the community that will affect change in the systems and the structures of our government. That work is just beginning, and yes, much more needs to be done. It shouldn't take a tragedy like the death of George Floyd for all of us to see what has been in plain sight for so long, that the systems and structures of our government and our society are not serving all people equally or equitably. That needs to change. We cannot keep repeating this same cycle of injustice and pain. As mayor, I need to own the responsibility that comes with being elected to lead this community. I will not let this moment pass like so many moments have passed before. And we need to own the responsibility as a community. Own that responsibility to move forward together. What's not lost on me, and I hope it's not lost on you, is that the crisis we face today following the death of George Floyd is taking place while we are still facing a public health and economic crisis that continues testing this country in a way that none of us have ever experienced. At our council meeting on Monday, we did two things to address the economic impact that the pandemic is having here in Bloomington. First, we amended the city's code regarding liquor licenses to adjust the fees down by 20%. Businesses in Bloomington, especially those in the hospitality industry, have been absolutely battered by this pandemic. Many, as you know, are frankly on the brink of survival. Reducing the cost of their licensing with the city while they're trying to get reopened and back on their feet is just one way we can help. And let's not forget that the hospitality and service industry employs a lot of people. And by making it easier for these businesses to get open again, it will help get people back to work. The other issue the council took up was a proposal to create a small business assistance program to provide forgivable loans of somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 to Bloomington businesses. While many businesses have tapped into federal programs like the PPP or local assistance programs through Hennepin County or the state of Minnesota, our staff discovered in researching this issue that many Bloomington businesses have not been able to access financial resources to help them stay afloat. Our staff also discovered that minority-owned and women-owned businesses are often among the businesses that struggle to have access to capital. We've not yet finalized the specific criteria for a business that will be eligible. We'll discuss this again on June 8th, but the city is receiving federal funding that can be used to provide economic assistance to our business community. And we will make sure we are doing what we can to help the small businesses that are at the core of Bloomington. Finally, the City Council brought a years-long process to conclusion on Monday night. For the past 3 years, the city has been working with, sometimes against, but mostly with, the Lower Minnesota River Watershed Management District to adopt land use controls to protect the river bluffs and control erosion. The Watershed Management District has statutory authority to enact zoning rules within their area of responsibility, and the city is required to adopt zoning rules that match those rules. So for the past 3 years, we've been working with the district to get to a place where we all feel comfortable and reasonable. What we adopted on Monday night will protect the Minnesota River, and it will also provide property owners within the zoning district the continued enjoyment of their property. This has not been an easy process, and I want to congratulate our staff who have worked to make sure that the concerns of the City Council, which of course reflect the concerns of our residents, were advocated for and ultimately included in the final language. The Minnesota River is a precious ecological and recreational resource, and the people who've invested in their property along the river also view it in that way. In the end, this process demonstrates that win-win solutions are indeed possible. Well, that's a wrap on the Council Minute for the week of June 1st. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Stay safe, Bloomington.